He's trying to ask me, that's legal, right? No, you're working on your next indictment. Hey, this is Matt Cox, and we're going to be talking about Bandman Kevo today. We're going to be talking about CPNs, and we're going to be talking about, and we're going to be reviewing a video that talks about CPNs and how they are illegal and how people are using them to build credit and basically run scams. So check this out. Here's the thing, God bless you. If someone's committing fraud with them, great, good for you. But don't think that you're not committing fraud because there's a website that sells CPNs. So CPNs are...
I had a website that sold credit cards.
Yeah, exactly. It's called... So CPNs are, credit profile numbers. And, it says sometimes they'll call them
And what you said, CPN is a made-up term.
Yeah,
it's not a term coined by any financial institution, or it's not a term that was coined by any government agency, like say the Social Security Administration or anything. Correct?
No.
So CPN is just a made-up term.
Right. Somebody started selling CPNs, and
CPNs.
They talk about how they create them, and that you can use a CPN in place of your Social Security number to give you a fresh start. And and you can buy them online for like $200 or $300.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about how they're issued by the Social Security Administration, and none of that's true. Also, that people will tell you,
well, they are issued by the Social Security Administration.
Well, yeah,
technically.
You're right. They are actual numbers, but what they are is actually children's Social Security numbers. So we're going to watch a video that tells how these guys, create or find the numbers. But the truth is they're randomly coming up with numbers, and eventually they'll stumble across an unused number. And 99% of the time, it's a Social Security number that was recently issued to a child. So these guys that are coming up with these random numbers are actually coming up with Social Security numbers that have been issued to children.
So let's touch on that for a second. So there's a process in which there's some online portal or something like that where you can check the validity of Social Security numbers.
Right.
And say you just keep changing the last two digits because they're issued in batches.
Well, you can change. Yeah, you can figure out what state and what batch number, and then you can figure out. Then once you get one.
So really, it's only the last four that are issued to each person. The first 5 digits of the Social Security number are the same for everybody.
No. That depends on what region you're from.
So it's going to be the same for region. Your region's always going to be the same for everybody that's issued in that region, correct? So the first 3 digits are always going to be the same.
In a certain region.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So let's say in Tampa. You were born in Tampa.
Yeah.
So in Tampa, or really I think in Florida, although it changes constantly, or it changes every time they reach the maximum amount of numbers they've issued.
Then it rolls back down to the last digit and then changes, and all the values change again.
Right. So now when I was born, it was I don't want to say it, but anyway, it was let's say 263, and then they run through that entire thing, that entire sequence. Mm-hmm. So that's the number. Then you have the middle number, which is also, let's say, another area in let's say the state.
Right.
Then you have the last 4 numbers, which constantly they just rotate up until you get to 999, and then it starts over again.
But each person
gets it's a unique. Everybody's got their own Social Security number.
Right. I understand that concept.
Okay.
Matt. But what I'm saying is, so what does it come down to? The last digit that changes for each person? So I could have 5 people with the same Social Security number, but it's just the last digit is off? Is that what we're saying?
No, what I'm saying is, let me give you an
example. Is that possible? Is that scenario possible that I just...
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. No, definitely. You could have like 26170, and then let's say 1001, 1002, 1003, 1000. So the first 5 are identical, right? But what I'm saying is, when you reach 99,
that was my question.
They start flipping it over again.
That's what I thought.
The first, not 99, but the first few numbers.
No.
Anyway, the point is that what I'm saying is that really these guys with the CPNs, all they're doing is they're taking a child's Social Security number, and they're just continually changing the last 4 digits until they reach 99. Then they find another batch that's recently been issued. It's not difficult to come up with the numbers, and they're selling them as if they're honest to God true numbers.
Mm-hmm.
and they're pushing it like they're issued by the Social Security Administration, which you said, yeah, they are. They're just not issued for the purpose of. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the video. And if you're interested in buying a painting from me, my contact information is in the description box. Back to the video.
These numbers, they don't know what names are attached to these numbers.
No, they have no idea.
They have no idea.
But the bulk of financial institutions don't run those names through I think it's uscitizen.gov to make sure that the name and the date of birth and the SOCH match.
So that one little oversight is the loophole in this whole fucking whole scam.
Right.
Is that people are just not checking
right.
when they run people's credit and all that shit.
And look, I get it because like everybody that uses these things aren't all committing fraud. Some people are just using them to start over.
They genuinely really fucked their credit up, and now they're like, listen, I don't have $50,000 in 7 years to fucking fix my credit.
Right.
So I need shit right now. So I need to figure out some way to come back up.
Right. Then they go online, they buy they think it's a CPN, and it's actually a child social security number that's probably to a 2 or 3 year old kid. They start getting secured credit and they rebuild their credit. Maybe they go their whole life using that, or at least till the kid's 18 and figures out somebody's using my credit. But typically, look, let's face it, most of these people are using this for some kind of fraud, or if they've screwed up their credit in the past, they're most likely going to screw it up again before the kid's 18 years old. Kid becomes 18, he files an identity theft report, and he gets his credit wiped and he starts over. It's a pain in the ass for him, but that's basically what's happening. That's why a lot of these guys are just going forever. Plus, they're using websites that are most likely hosted somewhere in Russia or Romania or wherever these these out of the country websites are being hosted.
Let me ask you another question. Unless you get a counterfeit Social Security card, you'll never be able to get a Social Security card issued for the Social Security number, obviously.
Yeah.
You have to have that to do a lot of things. You have to have that card, that physical card, to do a lot of things.
Well, I mean, if you're applying for a credit card online and they mail you the credrit card.
But what if I go to I'm trying to get auto loans, if I'm trying to fucking get a mortgage, I'm trying to do a lot of different things. They're gonna want that card. They're gonna want to see that card.
No, I mean typically they're gonna want to see your driver's license and maybe a pay stub. They're never gonna say, I need your SOCH. They might say, do you have your SOCH? If you say no, I don't have it, they go, well, what else do you have? That's never gonna be a requirement. Usually it's one of several things that you can provide to prove your identity. But if you don't, I don't have it, they go, okay, well, then do you have a pay stub, or do you have your driver's license? Do you have, that's fine. Do you have a W-2 with it on it? Yes, I do. Here. Oh, okay. Any of those documents somebody can come up with.
Right.
Anyway, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of guys out there that are pushing CPNs. There's Bandman, and
right.
He's
That's a fraud in itself.
What, pushing it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, well, it is. And here's what bothers me about it is that these guys come back in the comments section and they tell me it's perfectly legal. Go on the FBI website. They say it's legal, or they're issued by the Social Security Administration. Well, you and I just watched an 8-minute video where there was a whole investigative report, and there's all kinds of stuff.
It was done by, was it MSNBC or?
I think was it ABC or MSNBC?
ABC News.
Oh, that's Nightline, whoever that is from.
Yeah.
Are we not looking at? Well, I was just wondering who I was just wondering who made it.
Yeah, which news agency this is coming from, because it's not like it's some fucking,
Yeah, we could put it in the
fly-by-night internet fucking. This is
ABC
News.
Yeah, there's other ones too.
Right. So we just watched a 8.5 minute video by ABC News, and their investigative journalists were like, listen, we contacted the FBI. The FBI said no, this is not legal. They also contacted the Social Security Administration. Social Security Administration said, no, we do not issue CPNs. Right. And yeah, so it's the whole thing is just one giant fucking fraud.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, and so listen, so they interview this guy, or they basically wear the hidden mics and everything, and we'll watch the video where they just completely get this guy. And it's so funny what he's saying to people. And then when they come, and he's got to know what he's doing is fraudulent, because when they come and they say, hey, we're here to talk to you, he doesn't want to open the door. He doesn't want to talk to him. He's freaking out because he knows it's illegal. So anyway, let's watch the first part of the video, and it just talks about how it's just, by the way, the synthetic, they're calling them synthetic identities because they are. You're creating a false persona of yourself. They call them synthetic identities, but very quickly it moves into the CPNs, and that's how they're creating the synthetic identities. And I know it's illegal because I went to prison for it. So let's play this.
You're going to see a dramatic confrontation between my Nightline co-anchor Byron Pitts and a pastor accused of peddling a surprising kind of identity fraud. Why so many people are falling victim to this so-called synthetic identity fraud and how a man of God got mixed up in it. Here's Byron.
When you got hidden cameras in there, buddy.
It's all about the personal
He's
connection.
got all that shit hanging on the wall, all his little fucking certifications.
But you really can't blame Donald Batiste for being in a bad mood on this night. He's
just
just
an
learned
entrepreneur.
we've attended 2 of his sales meetings wearing hidden cameras.
My service is all about helping people.
Meetings in which he's alleged to have been selling a new type of identity fraud called synthetic identity fraud.
The allegation, the suggestion that you're involved in synthetic fraud, that you go to people who are desperate to have their credit restored. Everything that I do is legal.
That is not how investigators see it.
legal.
They say this kind of ID manipulation is against the law. Unlike typical ID fraud in which a thief steals someone's identity, synthetic fraudsters help invent new identities.
The fraudster uses one true piece of your identity and then combines it with fake information. So perhaps a different name.
And most important, a different social security number.
All put together to form this synthetic identity.
And it's a growing problem. By some reports, synthetic fraud now accounts for 85% of all identity fraud in the country, costing an estimated $2 billion every year.
What's your email address?
Batiste's small credit fixed business, not alleged to be on that scale. Still from this unassuming storefront in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, formerly occupied by Driving Academy, Batiste seems to have reached all over the country using social media.
I knew he wasn't going to be there long.
And when I heard people chiming in from Chicago, Illinois, and Houston, Texas, and Memphis, Tennessee, and, it was like, oh man, this is the real deal.
For Pastor Giles Foster and many other customers who say they had no idea what they were getting into, Batiste's most important credential, his Bible. 24 years old, Batiste calls himself an apostle. Says he has his own church in Baton Rouge.
I don't see anybody there.
That pretty much sealed the deal. The fact
Maybe
that there
he
was
just
another
streams the
man of
service.
God.
And for Pastor Foster, who was struggling to get himself out of debt and his fledgling church in Cleveland, Ohio on its feet, it all seemed like divine providence.
He was talking about fresh start and get your credit together.
To do that, Foster says Batiste advised him to keep his real name, but to get a new address. And then he sold him something like a new social security number.
He was selling this 9-digit number, credit profile number.
A CPN is a multi-digit number that looks very similar to a social security number. And it's what's given to people by these credit card repair companies for them to go out and open up new accounts.
Could it really be this easy?
Yeah, there we go. I see it.
2 of our producers headed to Baton Rouge, going undercover.
This is the button camera.
So then this is our very discreet purse camera.
Posing as customers to hear more about the process from the man himself.
Hey, nice to meet you.
He laid out his method.
So your person now, do you know what's on your person credit? When last time you checked?
And listen to how Batiste describes those CPNs that seemed almost too good to be true.
It's a 9-digit number that you get validated by the Social Security Administration. You use it almost like your social. You can only use it to.
You hear him say Social Security number.
And he was all too happy to explain where he gets them.
We build them. We go into the system. We apply for this new credit profile to the Social Security Administration.
Investigators tell us CPNs are often obtained by plugging in random 9-digit numbers into a government website or other validation site that we're not going to name here until a number is found that has not been issued. Batiste told us we could buy a CPN for $350. It sounded so good, but was it legal?
And it's 100% legal.
100% legal, he says.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Research. Some people say CPNs are illegal. The only reason why they say they're illegal is because a lot of people don't know how to use them.
Turns out those people who say it's illegal, that would be the authorities.
There is no legal use for a CPN. They are not issued by the Social Security Administration.
And the Social Security Administration agreeing, saying, despite what many of these credit repair websites imply, CPNs are not legal. And remember this?
It is 100% legal. You go to the FBI to have.
So we called the FBI as well. They say they also don't issue CPNs. The fraud works because authorities say some credit card companies rarely check to see if the CPN matches a person's name. The Electronic Transactions Association, trade group made up of credit card issuing banks, says consumers that choose to place one of these CPNs on a credit application will be committing a federal crime. State and federal agencies are cracking down. In New Jersey, 4 people pled guilty to stealing $200 million.
So, all right. So here's the thing. What like they're skimming over a lot of this stuff. Like I guarantee what he explains to them because he's pulled their credit. So he pulls their credit. So now he knows on what their credit profile is made up of: their name, date of birth, and multiple addresses that are associated with them,
right?
And their social security number.
Right.
So I'm sure what he's saying is, use this CPN, pull your credit using a different address that's not associated. Because if they did pull it using the same address,
you have to create a fucking paper trail attached to that fucking social security number.
Exactly. You have to separate. So you have to separate your two, and then he probably says use your name.
But okay, so here's my hang up with that. Say you go to apply for something. I'm 37 years old. And they're going to pull my credit, and it's going to be completely fucking devoid of anything?
Yeah.
It's going to be completely clean?
Well, no, it's not. Because what they're going to do is they go online. First of all, you typically go by John Boseak.
Right.
So
that's what my driver's license says.
But it does it? It actually says John James Boseak.
Right.
So go ahead and apply using James Boseak. Perfectly fine. I have a friend who's named Travis Hayes. His name is actually Michael Travis Hayes. He uses Travis Hayes because his father was Michael Hayes. So he goes by Travis. That's his name. My middle name's Bevan. I could go by Bandman Cox. So he probably said, so pull your credit under James Boseak, use your date of birth, use this CPN, and use a completely different address not associated to any of this old bad debt. Go online and apply for a credit card. That immediately, and he's probably applying for
even
them.
if you get declined.
Oh, you will get declined. So then he's probably saying, now get a secured credit card. So as soon as you apply once, it creates a credit profile. Because like there's lots of people named Matt Cox. But those people have different dates of birth. Or there's like 5 things that make up. If you just change a couple of them, and as long as there's now no connection other than the last name and the date of birth, the credit bureau doesn't blend the 2 credits. So what happens is you've created James Boseak, same date of birth, different social, different address. The credit bureau thinks this is a completely different person, and he just applied for a loan with Bank of America, a credit card, and they said no. But now your credit profile is valid. It's now been created.
There's going to be hard inquiries on there now, though.
Right. So now when you go to get your secured credit card, they're going to pull it, and it's not going to say no profile found. It's going to say, yeah, this guy's been found. He's got a couple of inquiries. He doesn't have any credit. He didn't have any trade lines, and you're applying for a secured credit card. So you give them $200. Or $400, whatever you want to put up. You put up $400, they give you a credit card. Now, a month later, boom, you got a trade line. $400 credit limit with Bank of America. He owes $42. His payment is $11. His date of birth is this. His name is this. His address is this. As long as you never cross, contaminate that credit with your old one, you've got a completely separate profile. And when you go to buy something, you go, here's my credit card. And they go, oh, can I see your driver's license? Sure, right here. You've got a valid driver's license. You have multiple credit cards. You can go open a bank account. So that's what these people are doing, using a social security number issued to a 5 or 6 year old or a 2-year-old. So that's what he's doing. And they're saying it's illegal. What happens is a lot of people will say, no, I bought a CPN and it's perfectly legal. I watched some guy on the internet who said it was.
Yeah.
You know, some guy who just got out of prison 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and he said it's perfectly legal.
Yeah.
And so, and you know, well, here's what you have to ask yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If I go to apply for a loan, and one of the things they ask me for is my social security number, and I give them a CPN, I've committed fraud. The moment I'm lying on the application, you're committing fraud.
Yeah.
So that's what they're saying. Like, that's the problem, is that they're asking for your social and you're committing fraud. But anyway,
Period.
so I mean,
the whole thing's one big scam. You know, and I never even I never looked into the CPN thing at all.
Bro,
I know that Bandman Kevo was making videos about it, and then there's another guy, Moneyman, was making videos about it. And there's a few other people who are making videos about it. You know, but like I said, I never looked into it because I'm like, dude, it's got to be some bullshit.
Yeah, but honestly,
in my brain, my mind, I'm like, yeah, I mean, like, it's cool if you're willing to take the risk and break the law like that, then I'm sure it's a cool come up for a lot of people.
Yeah, but you still have to build the credit. Because think about it, you have to build that credit. So it takes about 6 months for you to build that credit and get a bunch of credit cards, and then so let's say 6 months to a year. So you can probably make $50,000 to $100,000 in a year if you're able to do other things, come up with pay stubs, and there's other things associated with it. You can come up with a good chunk of money and then dump the whole thing. I'm sure there are people that are. I'd read an article about a guy who probably had, I think, 30 or 40 of these things
set up, and he was doing it.
And he had been doing it for years. He would run them up for about a year and a half, borrow heavily, dump them. He was always dumping them and dumping them.
Wow.
Eventually, they figured it out because they were all going to like 2 addresses, and he was using something else. Like, he was always saying the same like employer or something, and so they eventually caught him. So, but anyway, let's. Yeah. Hey, sorry for interrupting the video, but I want to let you guys know that if you join my Patreon at the top tier, every single month you get a different painting, and the contact information for my Patreon page is in the description. Back to the video.
$1 million using synthetic ID fraud. And in Indiana, over a dozen people pled guilty to selling CPNs, receiving sentences of up to 40 months.
So was really at a crossroads with the ministry, finances.
Foster says he got the credit card using his new credit profile, but then Batiste offered him something even better.
We were strapped, for lack of a better term.
Batiste said he would get Foster a line of credit of up to $500,000. All he needed was another cash payment of $4,000.
That trust was there. We trusted him.
Hoping to finance a new church, he says he wired Batiste the cash. As soon as the money was gone, so was Batiste.
Donald Batiste is a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Lakeisha Wells, who didn't want her face shown, says the same thing happened to her after paying Batiste $1,800. If I was Donald Batiste, what would you say to me?
I want my damn money back.
So we decided to pay Donald Batiste a visit at his office in Baton Rouge.
Hello, Mr. Batiste. My name is Byron Pitts from ABC News. We talked to police and investigators who say what you're doing with credit privacy numbers is illegal.
You don't do credit privacy numbers? I'm sorry. I had many gifts, Mr. Batiste, but lip reading isn't one of those. Would you mind opening the door so we can talk?
Oh, he's turning the lights off.
So if he didn't think he's doing anything wrong, I see.
Turning the lights off.
Mr. Batiste, after sitting in the dark in his office, he finally came out.
There are people who told us that they gave you $1,500, $4,000, and never heard from you again. They're not telling the truth?
No, they're not telling the truth. I'm still here. All my numbers are still the same.
You said that you get these CPN numbers from Social Security. Is that correct?
No.
You told me that a few minutes ago.
I just watched it on video.
I don't get them. We have an agency that we use.
And that agency gets those numbers from Social Security?
Correct.
And what agency is that, sir?
Legal CPNs.
Legal CPN, online company located in Michigan with the current F rating from the Better Business Bureau, did not respond to multiple requests for comment.
You say you get these numbers legally. But I'm telling you now, we've talked to Social Security, and they say that's just not possible. They don't issue CPN numbers.
That's fine.
So how do you explain that?
That's fine. I don't have an explanation at all.
Do you think it's legal? Do you think it's ethical?
I'm asking that you leave my property.
I'm asking that you leave my property.
You're an honest businessman.
Batiste insists he's done nothing wrong. In fact, he has not been arrested or charged with fraud. But Foster's and Wells' complaint, along with hundreds of others, have been referred to state authorities. And for now, Donald Batiste appears to still be in business.
Wow. All right. You want to...
I trust he's being investigated.
Oh, I'm sure it's coming down.
There's an open indictment on him fucking pretty soon.
There were a couple guys in listen, I know a couple guys right now, and I knew a couple of guys in prison who were going around and they were getting inmates social security numbers and information, and then they had somebody on the street who was building their credit, and once they built their credit, they were getting them loans or credit lines between $50,000 and $150,000, and they were giving them $25,000. And then they were saying, well, it's so funny when they were talking to the guys, because I had multiple guys come to me going, Cox, listen, can I talk to you? You know, so and so, and I go, yeah. And they go, listen, he's got this thing. I go, yeah, the credit repair thing. He's gonna fix your credit. He's gonna do this. He's gonna do that. He wants $25,000. Yeah, is that legal? How's it legal? You got 4 more years to go. You're borrowing $25,000. And then they would always say, yeah, but my girl's on the street. She's going to use the money to invest in a business. I go, come on, man. They all know the business is going under. And how are you getting a loan? They're going to get me the loan. I'm going to have perfect credit. So you don't seem to understand. You have no way to provide the documents that you need to prove to the bank that you can repay this loan. No, it's a business loan. I'm like, look, the problem is like you're a drug dealer and you don't understand that that's not how it works.
Right.
You have to be able to show them, like, would they lend you $150? Sure, if you had perfect credit and you could prove that you have a way to repay that loan.
Right.
You can't prove that. So, you can't prove that you've been making money. These guys were making a ton of money. They ate a lot of commissary.
Yeah.
Like they were living well. They had some girl on the street that was doing it. Well, that girl was obviously also preparing W-2s and pay stubs and applying online and getting the banks opened online and getting the money, and it was a whole scam that was happening. And one of those guys, I'd love to say his name, he actually got out and he's still doing it from outside.
Yeah.
So, and look, I know we talked to that guy the other day. Remember? You know what I'm talking about. Talked to him the other day. He's saying, I got a buddy. He's going to fix my credit. He can get me a loan for, what was it, $200,000? What did he say it was? I forget.
I was gonna say, he said something along those lines.
Yeah. So I forget the exact amount. It was outrageous. And but I got to give him whatever it was, $50,000 or $10,000. I forget the number. But it was like the same thing. Like, you don't have a job.
Yeah.
He's gonna fix your credit, get you the credit line, pull the money out. You're gonna run the credit line up. You're not gonna be able to make payments. It's gonna go under. Is that fraud? Yes, it's fraud. You have no way to repay that loan. Like, he's trying to ask me, that's legal, right? No, you're working on your next indictment.
Yeah.
But that's what these guys like Bandman are doing. And people get upset with you when you say, look, that's fraud. I don't care that it's fraud. For God's sakes, good for you, bro. Go ahead and do that.
Yeah, go ahead and commit fraud and get paid.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
But you can get over. But yeah, don't. It is what it is. Yeah, let's not call it what it's not.
Exactly. But don't try and convince me it's legit.
Yeah.
Just say it's fraud. I'm committing fraud.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought it was funny because we watched the video and it came out. And I thought it'd be an interesting, because we've had this conversation over and over again.
Yeah, I think we've talked about synthetic IDs before.
Listen, if I was going to do a scam, that would be. I would love it. I just build up the credit and borrow the money and just keep going and going. That's a great scam because you almost never get detected. You almost never go under unless you're doing something like you borrowed too much money. You never make a payment. A lot of these guys never even make a payment. They'll run up $150,000 and never make a payment and be like, "Ooh, I got the money," and they're running around. Yeah. Okay, well, you didn't make even one payment.
Yeah,
they're gonna look into this.
Yeah.
The guys that get away with it are the guys that make a few payments, pay some of the money back, make a few payments, pay some. Then eventually, if it does go under, the bank's like, okay, well, I mean.
He made 6 payments.
He did pay some of the money back. Then he pulled the money back out. Like, that's how a normal bad loan happens. Something went wrong.
Right.
But just to pull the money out and run with it, now it's just such blatant fraud. You're fucked.
Yeah, that's true.
So thanks for watching the video. Do me a favor and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. Leave a comment in the comments section and share the video if you're interested. If you follow Bandman Kevo, please copy the link and send it to him and let him know that what he's doing is illegal and that he needs to stop. And if he wants to come on the program, I'd love to have Bandman Kevo on the program. It'd be great. Tell him that I'm ready to come down there and get on his program, or he can come up here. And I've never done this before, but if he would actually consider doing it and actually come down and do it, I would actually pay for the plane ticket to fly him in, and I'll put him up in a decent place too. And put him up in a decent place because I know he's never going to come. So, see ya.